You are listening to the We Are West Ham podcast with me, Will Pugh, and I'm back once again with Michael from Fuchsletalk podcast, the big Freiburg fan returning to the pod with a big grin on his face after last week's defeat for West Ham in southern Germany. Michael, great to have you back joining us again. There's only one place to start, of course, really ahead of the game that you're coming over to London for on Thursday. What did you make of the first leg? You were no doubt pleased with the result, but it capped off a very bleak trip for me. One I was very disappointed to have made. What did you make of it?
Was it? So you weren't hiking, I suppose. That was
No, I didn't take any of your advice.
Sure. And right you are. So I was actually you said it, I'm smiling, still smiling. So it was a nice score, a nice event. And we made the important goal that you wished for so hard. So that was actually a pretty good answer of you. So I will keep that in mind if I'm asked again on any other podcast. So that was a really good answer, a generic one. You can use it every time. But yeah, sorry it was us this time. I was actually surprised of the first half because you might remember I said, well, we might start like a little bit more on the defense side. They didn't. It worked out well. So it actually worked out so well that in the end you thought, well, that maybe a second goal was possible in the first half. You came back in the second. Second half was very impressive for an away match. But yeah. And in the very, very end, we had this discussion about the penalty, yes or no. I think, it's a handball. You never know what's going to happen. So lucky us. That's all I can say.
Just to get you on that first, then I suppose. Now you've brought it up, the handball at the end. My stance was I'd be really disappointed if that got given against West Ham. So I wasn't too angry about it. In the ground, it looked handball in the stadium, and then watching it back afterwards, I thought, oh well, there's quite a close proximity. It's hit the foot first and then bounced upwards. Certainly wasn't going in. Not that necessarily is in the laws, but it felt I wasn't too gutted or disappointed that it wasn't given. And I think I'd be annoyed if it got given against West Ham. The time it took the referee to, he was obviously having a lot of conversations with VAR, and then he went over, and that was what I thought was quite good. He stuck with his own decision. We never in England have referees do that. If they get sent over to the screen, they always just go with what the VAR say. So it was quite a new experience for me to watch the ref go over and just stick with what he thought. And I didn't have too many complaints about that. But you're of the opinion that it was handball. Freiburg were a bit lucky.
No, funny enough, the thing is you never know with handball. So you can't say that it's a rule. Yes, it used to be an easy rule. It's not anymore. So it's kind of a lottery. And funny enough, we talked about the refereeing on the EuroLeague, and I think it was a good one. So actually on TV, it looked like he has his opinion and he's trying to tell it to the guys on the screens, actually. So you could see like a lot of hand gesturing going on. And I had the idea of, he's not going to give it after seeing him on the screen pointing around. And usually it's like, as you say, if he watches it, he's going with the guys. But on the other hand, if it takes so long, it's always a matter of, it can't be a clear thing for one side. So if it's so certain, that it wouldn't take so much time. But
no,
I think what you said is like actually a good trick. So for everybody in football having discussions about this, think about the other side. Think about the other team. So if it's against you, that whistle. And that's always a good thing to sort it out for yourself. Is this yes or no? So try to feel what the other side is feeling right now. And if you're like in this particular situation, if it's still 50-50,
I think
you've won the lottery.
It's one of those. If the referee had given it in real time, then
nobody would have complained.
There would have no, it wouldn't have been massive complaints, but just the fact it wasn't given, I was like, oh, well, like I say, the other way, it would have been annoying. It was a sort of, if you look at the stats, a fairly even game. Both teams had 15 shots. Both teams had 4 on target. You mentioned West Ham there. I think What did you make of West Ham? You sort of mentioned that we were not so good in the first half, and then better in the second. I felt like Jared Bowen in the first half was unlucky with the chance he had at the back post, or he should have done better with it, really. Yeah. Then he forced a good save from your goalkeeper in the second half, and Mavropanos hit the post with the header. There was a lot of disappointment, a lot of anger among the West Ham fan base about the performance and the result. But I felt your goal kind of came from nowhere. I never felt majorly threatened at loads of times that you were going to score. And I felt if you played that game out in exactly the same way again, we could just have easily won it 1-0, just like you did. So I wasn't too disappointed. But there was a lot of anger among the West Ham fans. What did you make of West Ham's performance?
That's another nice trick to do in terms of if you look at a football match and trying to think of the result and if it was a fair one or whatever.
I'm not bad at this, Michael. I'm pretty good at this.
Surprise. The thing is, what I always do is like think about that match with that statistics and everything. Play 10 times in a row. How many times do you win it? And I think I can say we wouldn't win 10 out of 10 with the performance we delivered. But it was more on the offense side as I thought, and I was a bit. I'm surprised about, coming to your question about the West Ham side being so, a bit laid back at the start, I thought, because in the first half we had much more possession than I thought we would get, actually, even if it's an away game for you and a home game for us. But you came back in the second half. I think both of the teams had one half of the match, actually, if you put it like this. And that was actually nice to see. On the other hand, I mean, it's so close. 1-0 is like nothing. And there's another match to go. So I think nothing is lost for you now. Nothing is won for us. And I think that all of the players know that as well. So we might see a different match tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
In the first half, because one of us has to go through, one of us has to win. Having said that, you have to win. It's all right if you don't lose. That's fine. If you don't lose, it's fine. But I think under pressure, that's something that your club is actually more suitable of than our club, because, this is all new for us. We're not used to this situation, so we only have the domestic cup competition, and only in the last couple of years we made it to the final, to the semi-final ones. Everything else was like, yay, second round for centuries. And so this kind of pressure, we're not used to it now. So it will be fun to see, actually, if the team, plays to what they are talking at the moment. So they say it's a huge chance, it's historic and everything. But I just hope they don't think too much about this and concentrate on the one game and then see what's coming up next. So,
Yeah, quite. What did you, just before we move on from looking at last Thursday's game, then Gregoritsch gets the goal on 81 minutes. Strangely, like you said, your goal, Freiburg's goal, came in the half that West Ham were on top in. It seemed to me, and again, this is just sort of watching it in real time in the stadium, it felt like a little bit fortunate on your part. I wasn't really sure if the ball in was it looked like a messed up shot.
It wasn't meant to be a pass, no.
No, absolutely, exactly that. And I think, again, West Ham fans, a lot of them were angry at our defence, and Zuma in particular, he fell asleep. But I just felt they were all preparing for a shot.
Yeah.
It was sort of dragged across the box. Gregoritsch, to be fair, was the most alert and on his toes.
You know where to go,
slotted it in. But that felt quite fortunate. Were the Freiburg fans and you overall pleased with your performance? Because it felt like the goal was fortunate. It didn't exactly... I didn't walk away thinking Freiburg really deserved to win that, nor did I think West Ham deserved to win it out and out. Like we were saying, I think if you play that game 100 times the same, I think 75 of them would be a draw, a pretty 1-0 or a 0-0 draw. But yeah, what was sort of your view on the goal and Freiburg's performance? And
yes, actually, that's the kind of thing you get at a first match out of two matches in a competition where one of us has to go home. And I think probably, as you said, 75% you get a draw, and that was a draw match, of course. And for Gregoritsch himself, it's actually quite funny because he always scores in the EuroLeague
Right.
I think it's his fifth goal in 7 matches, or maybe the other way around. I don't know. So it's impressive, having said that.
Yeah.
And in the league, he's a bit struggling. So for him, it was good to be there, to deliver in a way. And he knew where he was going because he's always keen on the second balls as well. So, I mean, he's a striker. And he's the only striker on the pitch at that point for our team because, as you remember, the last time we talked about, we don't have like the classic number 9.
Yeah.
We have number 38, which is Gabriel, and he knows what to do, but he's not like, he doesn't do it every time. He doesn't deliver it in every match because if you put on a strike in that position, our team performance will suffer a bit because that's the first line of defense usually, and he's known for like he's running around the pitch trying to defend as well, but then he's not in the box, and there he was at that moment of time, so that was okay. And I'm with you. It looked a bit silly in the slow motion because everybody was running to different directions at that point because everybody was thinking, I mean, Lidstone, he's not nobody. He knows how to shoot. Fortunately, he didn't. He didn't at that point, and Gregory was there to finish the goal. So I think the only thing you could say about that goal is that somebody had to like have eyes on the back of his head to say what he's doing, but he's just. It looked funny because he was just walking through in slow motion. Like, it's slower, of course, but there was nobody defending him at that point. That was a bit, a little bit lucky, as he said, at that point of time.
So coming in, Michael, Thursday, you're trying to navigate your journey to London at the moment with all the strikes going on. I think there were a few West Ham fans. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my journey was a little bit awkward. I know there was a few West Ham fans whose journeys home were quite long and arduous because of the transport links, the awkward geographical position of Freiburg. Certainly not a trip that too many West Ham fans will be looking back on with much fondness. And I think now it's very much like, please let us get through on Thursday, because if that's our last European trip for a while, we'll all be very disappointed.
But you can do 3 countries in one day if you want to. So Switzerland, France, and Germany.
I think that's what I did.
Same with
Basel
hiking.
Airport's in France, isn't it?
It's in Switzerland, yeah.
Isn't there a French side of Basel Airport?
No. Don't think so.
I'm not sure about
that. It's pretty close and everything. It's not the typical German kind of city.
No,
but
quite.
I see what you mean. Very remote.
And, so what? First of all, how are you getting to London? When are you leaving?
I think actually London is one of the it's easy to get there cities in Europe actually. So you can always get a flight. Everybody's going on flights as far as I know. There's nobody coming.
When are you going?
And I am starting tomorrow at 6:30, and I will be there at about 10, so they should be fine for the match. Knocking on wood, it depends on all the different unions again. It's like a never-ending story, which isn't quite funny, but that's the way it is.
No, quite. And what are you thinking about the game then? What's the feeling among Freiburg fans about, like you say, 1-0? It's a good result, of course, and I think it does. The way West Ham like to set up, it makes it more awkward for us because David Moyes is more comfortable when we let teams come on to us and hit them on the break, and we have to take games to teams, although we can do it, as we've shown recently, particularly against Brentford and the second half against Burnley. We can do that, and we've got the players to do it, but David Moyes certainly would prefer not to. What's the overall feeling among Freiburg fans going into the game?
I think we're content. That's the word that's coming to my mind, because nobody's like overly excited about this, because the usual thing about Freiburg is if you lead 1-0, you think, so the other one have to score twice now so that we lose. So that's like the overall fan experience in Freiburg anyway. So I think we're content, and we're a little bit cautious because nobody's like trying to force it, but we still know where we are. We still know where we come from. So we're not there to win a high match against it to score 5 times, and we don't have to, and that's a good thing actually. So it's actually a bit might be nice to see if the team is able to like defend a 1-0 lead from first leg match of 2 into the second one. So that's actually more about let's see what's going to happen in terms of we have to see a match and see how it develops, and not like the forcing it kind of see. But still, we're there to celebrate as well. So expect the loud away end this time.
Yeah, I must admit, I was very impressed with the atmosphere of the Freiburg fans created in the home game. Very impressed. I'm very surprised to see the vast amount of people in the game really early, standing behind the goal, sort of where the ultras section was or whatever.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you don't get a special place, so you have to be there early to get your place because there are no seats.
I see. Right, yeah. That
so you have to be 2 hours before the kickoff. You have to be there.
Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. So, yeah, look, it obviously makes sense what you say about Thursday, a content approach, I guess, because nothing's decided yet. What do you think the approach will be from your manager and Freiburg set up? Will you set out to defend the lead, or how will Freiburg approach the game?
I think it depends on how many players are how fit for how long to play. Actually, that's quite a weird sentence. But the thing is, we played on Sunday in Bochum away. It was
2-1. You've won, didn't you?
Yeah. Again, pretty lucky this time, but well, it's 3 points. We take it. So we are talking actually before the press conference. So I'm not sure about the squad that is going to England this time, but I think he won't change that much because he never does actually. So if he has the chance to play the same team twice, he does it. And with all the defenders coming back now, one by one, I think we won't see that many changes anymore than in the first half of the season. So I actually expect the same team if they're able to walk over at least 90 minutes. And then we see what's going to happen. And I think the approach might be like more, as I said in the first match, but now I really believe it. And we're going to see a more defensive lineup this time because with the same players playing a bit more on the defense side of the game. We're not the side that usually is able to park the bus. So there's always a bit, the plan to have the ball and create something. But still, if you're like in the lead in a way after the first match, that's where you should do it, like not run forwards and try to score another goal. Yeah. If it's not that urgent. So, we'll see. It's a different situation. It's a situation we don't have that often. So it's not that easy to play the expert here, actually.
Yeah. Well, that is why you're here, Michael, to be fair. So, it's a bit of an odd feeling around West Ham at the moment. I think there's about 10,000 tickets still for sale in the home end. The early kickoff has made it a bit of an awkward one.
It is
for
weird,
people, I think. Yeah, plus the repeat opponents and the general feeling of sort of frustration that exists around the club at the moment. But hopefully we see we edge a little bit closer to a sellout come closer to game time. But Michael from Fuchsletalk, it's been absolutely great having you on. Thanks very much for coming on for the second time. Before we let you go, give us a score prediction. Thursday night, London Stadium, West Ham 1-0 down after the first leg of the last 16 against Freiburg in the Europa League. What's going to happen? What's the score going to be?
Yeah, so it's not the prediction, it's a wish. I mean, a draw is enough, but I want to see goals, so I go for 1-1.
1-1, yeah. I thought big pressure on West Ham. I think because it's so close, there is a chance that we won't go all out for it early on. I think we'll sort of see if we can pick our way through in our usual fashion. But if Freiburg are willing to sit back and let us have the ball, some frustration might creep in among the crowd. And it could go either way. I think that 1-0 deficit makes it awkward for West Ham. But I've been confidently expressing that we'll have enough to get over the line. So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to penalties or extra time at least. I'm going to say 2-1 to West Ham in normal time, and then we get over the line somehow in either extra time or penalties. But Michael, it's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Safe journey to London. Hope you enjoy your trip. Obviously, hope you don't enjoy the game at all. But it's been great having you on the podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone at home. This, of course, ahead of Little Opposition View podcast here ahead of Thursday's game. And then I will be back once again with Tim Warwood big extreme sports journalist plus Aston Villa fan, one of the We Are West Ham podcast favourite opposition views, of course, ahead of Sunday's Premier League game of Aston Villa. And then me and Jonesy will be back as usual next week. Follow us on all the usual podcast and social media platforms at @WeAre_West Ham on Twitter, We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave us a review, buy us a pint at buymeacoffee.com/We Are West Ham if you want. Thanks for listening, everyone. West Ham are massive. Up the Hammers. Speak to you later in the week.